Students, welcome to another session of 2027 A-Level Fast Track classes. Okay, so in the last class, I think we have discussed the model questions of accounting equation, I guess. Yes. So yes, I think today will be the last class of the Unit 2 accounting equation. And today we are going to discuss the past papers of the accounting equation. So as you know, the unit 2 accounting equation, there will be a separate question in the exam papers. Mostly it comes as question number 3. Yes, accounting equations. Okay, yes. So as I promised earlier, we'll cover up the theory as well as the model questions as well as the past paper questions. Okay, theory covered, model papers covered in the tute, model questions, and past papers today we are going to cover. And also, I'm hoping to do some break to break seminars in between some classes. Okay, but I will let you know, which means some seminars about the term exams. Okay, so I'll let you know a perfect update for that. So when will that going to be happen and those stuff. Okay, so yes, so before without further delay, we can move to the past papers. So today we are starting with 2023 A-level past paper. Okay, I think most of the students have the past paper. Okay, if not, please try to buy a past paper. Okay, but just for the time being, I will upload the questions. Don't worry, but try to buy a past paper, which is very, very important if you are doing accounting subject. Okay, so yes, without further delay, we can move to the past paper. Question number 3A, which is accounting equation question. Okay, so just have a read on it and I will draw the format with that time. Okay, so first of all, what we have to do in the term exam or in the final exam, if you have a question like this, which means an accounting equation question, first you have to read the required part. So in the required part, they are asking record the balances first for 2023 and show the impact of transactions 1 to 15 with values using the accounting equation. State plus if the value increase or minus if the value decrease in front of each value. In answering this question, use the format similar to the one given below. So which means in the answer sheet, you have to draw that format. You have to draw the format which is given in the exam paper. So I did that. Okay. After that, you have to enter it. After that, we have to calculate the question number 2, profit and loss using net asset basis. So we'll do that later. But first of all, we just have to do what? We just have to enter this transaction. So yes, we'll do that. Okay. So I'll start with transaction number 1. I hope you have enough knowledge about the accounting equation because in the classes we already did that, right? The model questions, the basics, these theories, the what are the common mistakes made by the students and how to correct them. All the things have been discussed in the class. Okay, so I think which is unnecessary to teach the basics when we are doing the past paper questions. Okay, so yes, we'll start with the question. So read the top of the question. Mala Enterprises is a sole proprietorship and its summarized statement of financial position as at 31st March 2023 is given below. Okay. PPE, inventory, total assets, equity, yes, all the things have been given. So what we have to do, we have to enter those balances now. So enter it. Balance, board, forward, property, plant and equipment, 3000. So we have to mention here as 3 zeros. We are shorting the 3 zeros. We have to mention that here. And inventory 250. 400. 40. Bank loan, sorry, it's equity. Equity 2,830. Bank loan 800. And trade and other payables 60. You don't have to put plus and minuses in the balances because it's always indicate the plus values. Okay. So in the transactions only you have to put plus or minuses. So in the transaction number one, what you have to do? A land worth of 700 and cash 200, sorry, 200 were invested by the owner as an additional capital. So land worth of 700, cash worth of 200. So land is coming to the business worth of 700, cash worth of 200, together 900, which is invested by additional capital. Simple. The transaction number 2. Goods with a list price of 1,350,000 were purchased on credit and a trade discount of 50,000 was received in this respect. Okay. So, as you know, in the theory, when we are discussing the theory, I already mentioned trade discounts doesn't have the accounting entry. So, after reducing the trade discount, which means 1,350 minus 50, which is equals to 1,300. So 1,300 is our billing value. Okay. 1,350 is the listed price, 50 trade discounts, minus 1300, which is the billing value. This value needs to be entered here. So we are purchasing on a credit basis 1300, and here 1300. Transaction number 3. Goods costing 800 was sold for 1400 on a credit. Uh, my bad. I used liability in that side, so that's why it messed up. Okay. So yes, it needs to be here. Yes. Because I usually use liability on the right hand side, so that's why I always went to that side. Okay. So yes. Transaction number 3. Goods costing 800 were sold for 1400 on a credit. So 800 sold, so minus 800. 800 sold for 1400, which means trade debtors 1400. Okay, so the 600, the gap 600 is what? The profit. So profit comes as a equity. Okay. Transaction number 4. Furniture costing 500 was purchased for the use of the business. 200 was paid in this respect at the same date and agreed to pay the balance in May 2023. Okay, so 500 purchased, 200 is given as a cash, but 300 is remaining and 300 needs to be paid. Okay, so we bought 500 worth of furniture, 500 worth of furniture, and we paid cash as a 200, so minus 200, and 300 needs to be payable, payable, payable. Transaction number 6, not the 6, 5. Goods costing 20,000 purchased during the month were returned to the supplier, which means that is purchase returns. So goods costing 20,000 was returned to the supplier. So as you know, I showed a three-step model how to do the correct entries for purchase return and sales return. So I know you can remember the three-step model for the purchase return. First is what? Consider it as a credit purchase. First, consider that transaction as a credit purchase. And second, enter the values. Third, flip the values. These are the three-step model for the purchase return. So, forget that transaction number 5 as a purchase return. Okay. First, consider this transaction as a credit purchase. Okay. So read this transaction as a credit purchase. Goods costing 20,000 was purchased. Okay, for credit. Okay. Goods costing 20,000 was purchased. I have considered and I'm going to enter. It's a credit purchase. Now I want to flip the values. The plus icons becomes minus, plus icons becomes minus. Very simple. Purchase return. After that, transaction number 6. Goods sold 50,000 during the month were returned by the debtor. The cost of these goods was 30,000. Again, the same format. For the sales return, again, the three-step model. First, consider which is as a sales return. Consider it as a sales return, not the sales return. Consider it as a credit sales. First, consider the transaction as a credit sales. After that, enter the values and flip the values. Just try this method and see. Okay. Transaction number 6. Goods sold for 50,000 during the month were returned by the debtor. The cost of these goods were 30,000. I'm going to change this transaction to credit sale. So what will be the transaction? Goods costing 50,000 sold, cost is 30,000. So that is in my mind. Goods costing 50,000. Goods sold for 50,000 and the cost is 30. The equity, the profit will be plus 20. Actually, this is the transaction in my mind. So I have considered that sales transaction into a credit sales transaction. So I have converted it as a credit sales. After that, I have entered the values. Now what I have to do? Now I have to flip the values. How to do that? The plus becomes minus, plus becomes minus, minus becomes plus. Very simple. Plus to minus, minus to plus. Okay, so you don't have to confuse with the purchase return and the sales return transaction. What you have to do is, you know how to enter the credit sales transaction. You know how to enter the credit purchase transactions. Okay, so use that knowledge and convert that knowledge into sales return and purchase return. Easiest way, best way, no confusion, correct to the point. Okay, so yes, transaction number 6 was done. Transaction number 7, paid the monthly loan installment of 70,000 to the bank, and the installment includes interest of 15,000. So 70,000 paid to the bank, transaction number 7, 70,000 paid to the bank, 70,000 paid to the bank. Okay. And with that 70,000, 15,000 was interest. You know, interest is an expense. Okay. 15,000 was the interest. 15,000 was the interest. So balance 55,000 will be the bank loan. Balance 55,000 will be the bank loan. Bank loan. Okay. So that is transaction number 7. After that, transaction number 8. A land of the business with carrying amount of 900,000 was sold for 1,600 for cash. Okay. So worth 900,000, sold for 1,600. That balance 700 is land revaluation gain. Okay, 1,600, 900, the gap 700 is land, not the revaluation gain, land, say PPE sales gain. Okay, PPE sales gain or land sales gain. Transaction number 9. Look at the transaction number 9. Rupees 900,000 cash was received from the trade debtors after allowing the discount of 10%. I did the same transaction like this when we are doing the questions in the tute. Okay. So actually, what is this transaction? We received 900,000. Yes, we received 900,000 after allowing the discounts of 10%. Okay, so after allowing the 10% only we received 900,000. So which means how much we received? 90%. We received 90% and we allowed 10% of the discounts. After 10% of the discounts allowed, we received 90%, which is how much? 900,000, isn't it? So how much will be the 10%? Just have a cross multiplication, which means 100,000. So 100,000 is the what? Discounts allowed. Very simple. So for the transaction number 9, discounts allowed is how much? Discounts allowed 100,000, since the discounts allowed is our expenses. So we received cash 900,000 and trade debtor will be reduced by 1,000. Yes. Okay. 1,000. Transaction number 10. Goods costing 500,000 were purchased for cash. Okay. Goods purchased for cash. 500,000 increase. 500,000 decrease. Transaction number 11. Goods of the business costing 60,000 were obtained by the owner for his personal use. Drawings. So 60,000 minus 60,000 minus. Transaction number 12. Rupees 300,000 payable to a trade creditor was settled to a subject of discount of 50,000, which means 300,000 payable. So we have to pay 300,000. Here we have to pay 300,000 and we received a discount of 50,000. So first of all, they have mentioned the discount. So we received a discount of 50,000, which means discount received. How much we have to pay to the trade payable? With 300,000. So minus 300,000. So actually, how much we have paid? Minus 250,000. So which means we have to pay 300, but we have received 50,000 discount. So after getting that 50,000 discount, we paid 250,000. This is the equation. Question number 13. So transaction number 13. An inventory costing 100,000 was destroyed and the insurance company agreed to pay 80% of this loss. So transactions like this. So there are two transactions. The inventory is lost and insurance company agreed to pay 80,000. So there are two transactions. So if there are two transactions merged as a one, what we have to do? No need to worry. Again, split that transaction into two. Okay. So in the transaction number 13, we have two transactions. Goods was destroyed 100,000 and insurance company agreed to pay 80%. Okay. So first, what we have to do? We have to enter how much it's destroyed. Okay. So 100,000 goods was destroyed and goods destroyed was an expenses. Okay. So after that, insurance company agreed to pay 80% of this loss. So insurance companies agreed to pay 80%, which means our loss is going to minimize. So we are getting 80,000 from the insurance company as well as which means it is a receivable plus 80. So minus 100 plus 80 in a nutshell we can write as minus 20. Minus 20 is our actual loss. Okay, very simple. Transaction number 14. Operating expenses of 500,000 was paid for the month of April 2023. So, okay. So we are doing this accounting equation for the month of April. So operating expenses 500,000 paid, which means cash 500,000. Expenses minus 500,000. Transaction number 15. Depreciation of 20,000 was provided for the property, plant and equipment for the month of April 2023. So for the month, so actually we are doing the accounting equation for the month. So no need to worry. PP depreciation minus 20, since the depreciation is an expense, minus 20. Okay. So now what we have to do? After entering the all transaction, we have to get the numbers, the final numbers. Okay, let's get the final numbers. So let's get the final numbers here. 3,280. 1,100. 830. 1,220. 745. 1,340. 4,345. So this will be our numbers for the question number three. Question number three for the 2023 A level. Okay. So the question number one is done. The required number one is done. Required number one is done. Let's go to the required number two. The profit or loss for the month ending 30th April 2023. So they are asking to use the net asset basis. So I will erase this in order to do that. Net asset basis. Sorry. So what is the equation for net asset basis? Closing capital minus opening capital plus drawings minus additional capital. This is the equation. So we know the closing capital. Closing capital is how much? 4,345. Opening capital we know 2,830. How much drawings is there? Drawings, yes. This is drawings 60 plus 60. Additional capital, transaction number one. This is additional capital 900. 675. 675 is what? Our net profit. 675, which is our net profit. So this will be the answers for the 2023 A level paper question. Okay. So after that we can move to 2024 A level. Okay. So I will give you 5 to 10 minutes. Just write it down. After that we can move to the 2024 A level paper. So we can move to the 2024 paper. 2024 question number 3A. It's a 30 marks question, huh? Yes. So, transactions, PP, inventory, trade payable, trade debtors, cash, liability, trade creditors, VAT control, and equity. Yes, this is the format. Yes. Format is pretty much similar. Mhm. We'll start with the question. Dilshan Enterprises is a firm selling special type of computers, and this firm is registered for the value added tax. The following balances as at 1st 10 2024 been extracted from the books. Okay. And they are asking to record the transactions in this format and statement for the computation of gross profit, not the net profit, gross profit for the month of 31st 10 2024. So let's enter the transactions one by one. Okay. So we'll start with the balances. Balance board forward 324, inventory 250, trade debtors 126, and cash 120, equity 610, trade creditors 150, VAT 60. Okay, transaction number one. The owner provided 120,000 cash as an additional capital for the business. So 120,000 as a cash. So cash 120 and additional capital 120. Received the other income 20,000. So cash 20, other income plus 20. Sold the two computers which were available in the opening inventory, which is 250, for 295,000 for each for credit. Each for credit, 295,000 each for credit, inclusive 45,000 VAT per computer. So which means this transaction is a bit complex transaction. So which means they are telling 295,000 each, which means they are selling two computers in the sense the total value 590. Okay, so VAT is 45,000 per computer to total VAT is 90, which means 500 is the sales. and cost of sales is 250,000. So now you have a better idea on the transaction. Now what you have to do, you just have to enter it. Transaction number 3. The cost of sales value is 250,000. Yes, this 250,000 minus 250. Okay. And we are selling that, it's a credit sale. We are selling that into 500. Okay. We are selling that into 500. And the profit is how much? 250. Now the VAT is 90. You know, sales VAT is what? It's a credit. So VAT is 90 and the sales VAT is goes to trade debtor. So which is also plus 90, which means the total value of this is 590. So that is the simple way. That is the simple way you can enter the sales related VAT transactions. Okay. First, enter the sales transaction. Second, enter the VAT transaction. And after that, merge it. Very simple. Okay. Transaction number 4. Transaction number 4. Paid 135,000 to opening trade creditors. Okay. Opening trade creditors 150 and paid 135,000 after receiving 10% cash discount. So after receiving 10% cash discount only, we paid 135, which means 135, which is equals to 90%. So how much is the 10%? This is the question. 10 multiplied by 135 divided by 90, which is equals to 15,000. 15,000. Okay, so 15,000 is what? Is the discounts received, and we paid 150,000, and as a cash we paid only 135. Okay, very simple. Transaction number 5. Transaction number 5. Purchase 3 computers on credit, 118,000 each, inclusive 18,000 VAT per computer, which means total value is 118 into 3. The VAT value is 18 into 3. Purchase value is 100,000 into 3, which means 300 here. $354 and this is 54. Okay. So transaction number 5, isn't it? Yes, 5. Okay. So transaction number 5, we are purchasing 300,000 on a credit basis, right? Yes. So it's a purchase VAT. Purchase VAT sum minus 54, and we are purchasing on a credit basis, which means plus 354, and inventory is plus 300. Plus 300. Okay, yes. Yes. Then transaction number 6. A computer costing 100,000 available in the inventory was obtained by the owner for his private use. So 100,000 was obtained for his private use, which means it's a drawings. Transaction number 7. A compute A computer costing 100,000 available in the inventory was provided for the office use. So this is not a drawing. This is not a drawings. We purchased that computer in order to do the sales, but the purpose changed now. Earlier, it was a inventory because we bought that computer in order to do the sales. Now, this computer is considered as a property, plant and equipment because we are using that computer to do the office works. Earlier, this computer bought to do the sales, okay, in order to do the selling purpose. But here, we are using that computer to do the office works. So the purpose changed so that inventory is converted as a property, plant and equipment. Transaction number 8. Transaction number 8. Sold a computer for 177,000 for cash inclusive 27,000 VAT. Cost of these computers was 300,000. Okay. So cost is 300,000. Okay. And we sold it for cash. Okay. So the VAT, before moving to the VAT, we are sold it for cash. Ne? So 150 was the actual selling value and 50 was the profit. Sales VAT is a credit and 27 here. Merge it, which means 177. Very simple. Okay. Split the transaction and merge it. Paid operating expenses 80,000. Paid operating expenses, so we are paying by cash. Transaction number 10. Received 120,000 from the opening trade debtors. Opening trade debtors after allowing the cash discount of 6,000. So after allowing the cash discount of 6,000. So cash discount is how much? 6,000. And how much we have received? 120,000. Transaction number 11. Purchase 2 computers for cash 147,500 each, inclusive 22,500 of VAT per computer. Okay, purchase 2 computers for cash for 147,000 each. So 147,500 multiplied by 2. So 22,500 VAT into 2. $295,000. This is 45,000. So actual purchase is 250,000. So the actual purchase is 250,000. This is the actual value of the purchase. And the purchase VAT, purchase VAT is a debit VAT minus 45. Okay. So we are purchasing that on a cash basis. So cash minus 295. Cash total value. Transaction number 12. Closing inventory as at 31st March 2024 was measured at its net realizable value of 200,000. The difference between the cost and the net realizable value of the inventory was recognized as an expenses. Okay. So what is the actual value of the closing inventory here? So in order to calculate the closing inventory, we have to get the total balance. So actually the total closing inventory was 200 in the net realizable value, but before have to that, you have to calculate the number up to this point. So let's calculate it. 250,000 was the value. Okay. So after the calculation, 250,000 was the cost closing value, but 200,000 was the net realizable value. So the balance 50,000 is the inventory written off. Inventory written off. So which is an expense as well as the reduction in the inventory. So after doing this, we can get the total numbers. Four hundred and 200, and here 590, 47, 354, 78, 829. This will be the balances. Okay. So after that, they are asking to have a statement for the computation of gross profit. Okay. So let's have that statement also. So they are asking to calculate the gross profit. Huh? So gross profit, this is description rupees 30. How to calculate the gross profit? Sales minus cost of sales is the gross profit. So sales minus cost of sales is the gross profit. So how to calculate the gross profit here? There's an easy way. Okay. Let's find the transaction which is a actual sales. Okay. So let's find the transactions of sales. How to find the transactions of sales? Sales transactions have inventory minuses, cash or trade data plus, as well as the equity plus. This transaction number 3, transaction number 3, This transaction is a sales transaction. After that, let's look at the inventory values, minuses. No. 7 is no. 8. Transaction number 8. Yes. It is a sales transaction. Inventory minus, cash plus, VAT, and this. Do we have any transaction other than this? No. So these are the two transactions which is the actual sales. So now we can categorize them. Sales, transaction number 3, and the transaction number 8. Minus cost of sales, transaction number 3, transaction number 8. This is the cost of sales. This is the cost of sale. This is the actual cost of the computer which we sold. This is the actual computer which we sold. So 250 for the transaction number 3 is 250 is the cost. Transaction number 8, 100 is the cost. Altogether, 350 is the cost of sales. What is the actual sales value? 590? No. It's not the actual sales value. Actual sales value is how much? 590 minus the VAT amount, 90, 500. 177 minus 27, sorry, 500 and 150. This is the actual sales. 500 minus 90, 500 minus 90, 177 minus 27. We have to reduce the values, exclude the values in the sales. Altogether, 650. 650. So 300 is our gross profit. Very simple. Very simple. Okay, 300 is our gross profit. This is how you can calculate the gross profit, and this is a simple way. You don't have to put opening inventory minus closing inventory and purchases. You don't have to calculate the cost of sales in that way because the actual cost of the sales is already given. So you don't have to do in that way. Okay. So this will be the answers for the, not for the 2023 A level, 2024 A level. This will be the answers for the 2024 A level. Okay. So yes, I will give you 5 to 10 minutes. Just note it down. Dear students, so last question for the day, 2022 A-level paper. Okay, so I think question number 3A, 2022 A-level paper. Just read the question and I will show how to answer that question. Okay, so just read it while I erase the board. So in this question, as you can see, already the answers are given. So you might ask, answers are there, and what is the question? Yes, the question is one, you have to describe these transactions based on the answers. That is the question. Read the question required. Write the transactions with value denoted by the amounts given in the number 1 to 12 above. Consider that there were no donations, no loss, no inventory written-off for the month of March 2022. So you have to describe the transaction. So just wait a minute. Okay. So just look at the answers. Just look at the counting equation while I write the answers here. Okay. So just give me 2 minutes. What we have to assume here, you have to assume there were no donations, no loss of or inventory written off in the building, in the inventories. Okay, so no donations, no inventory written off. Okay, done. So now what we have to do, we have to describe the transactions 1 to 12. So if you have a question like this, what we have to do, just describe it. How to do that? How to do that? Just look at the numbers in the transactions by 12. So in the transaction number 1, office equipment is increasing 100. Okay. Office equipment increasing 100. At the same time, mm, it is so minus six. So minus one. Look at the transaction number 1 here. Office equipment increase 100, cash decrease 100, which means what? Office equipment increasing, cash decreasing, which means office equipment purchased by cash rupees 100,000. You have to mention the transaction as well as the amount. Office equipment purchased by cash rupees 100,000. This is the answer for the transaction number 1. Okay. So let's go with the transaction number 2. Transaction 1, number 1 done. Transaction number 2. Inventory increased by 160. Okay. At the same time, trade creditors increased by 160. Inventory increased 160. Trade creditors increased 160, which means credit purchase of inventory or goods purchased on credit, goods purchased on credit, rupees 160,000. This is the transaction. Goods purchased on credit, rupees 160,000. Let's look at the transaction number 3. Minus 350 plus 500 plus 500 in the equity, plus 500 in the cash, minus 350 in the inventory. You know, if you have a minus in the inventory as well as plus in the equity, which means it is a sale, which means it is a sale. So how you can write it? Cash sales rupees 500,000 and the cost of the good is 350,000. Cash sales rupees 500,000. Cost of the good is 350,000. Okay? Yes. Transaction number 4. Minus 300 in the inventory, plus in the trade debtors, and plus in the equity. Again, minus in the inventory and the plus in the equity means this is also a sales transaction. So which means if it is a cash, that is cash sales. If it is a trade debtor, which means it is a credit sales. So what is your answer? Credit sales rupees 400,000, cost of the good is 300,000. You don't have to mention the profit, okay, because in the questions you are not getting the profit directly, it's an indirect method. So what you have to do, just mention the sales value and the cost of sales value, which is very much enough. Transaction number 5, 150 minus 130 minus 20 minus. So equity minus 20, bank loan minus 130, 150 in the cash, which means bank loan installment paid 150,000, which is included 20,000 interest. Bank loan installment paid 150,000, which includes 20,000 interest. Because how did I came up with as an interest? Because bank loan is in decreasing, simultaneously equity also decreasing. What we pay with bank loan with expenses, what we pay with bank loan as an expenses, which is a interest. Okay, so bank loan installment paid 150,000, which includes 20,000 interest. Okay, for your knowledge purposes, every bank loan installments, we pay the bank loan as well as the interest. In here, 130 was the bank loan, 20 was the interest. Okay, so bank loan installment paid 150,000, which includes 20,000 interest. Transaction number 6, minus 140 in the cash, plus in the trade creditors, and so minus in the trade creditors and plus in the equity. So cash decreasing, trade creditor decreasing means after receiving 10,000 discount, which means this is a discounts received. Okay, after receiving the 10,000 discount, 140,000, after receiving the 10,000 discount, 140,000 rupees paid to the trade creditor. After receiving 10,000 discounts, 140,000 rupees paid to the trade creditor. Transaction number 7, 60,000 minus in the trade debtor. Okay, 50,000 in the cash. Okay, so we are receiving 50,000 here, and this 10,000 is what? Discounts allowed. How did I came up with it? With that? Because cash, trade debtor decreasing, cash increasing. So what is the transaction here? After allowing 10,000 discounts, 50,000 was received from the trade debtor. After allowing 10,000 discounts, 50,000 was received from the trade debtor. Transaction number 8, 200 plus in the inventory, cash minus 60, trade creditors plus 140, which means inventory increasing 200, cash decreasing 60, and trade creditor decreasing 140. What is the transaction? So purchase of the inventory 200,000, purchase of the inventory 200,000, cash paid 60,000, 140,000 needs to be payable. Per inventory purchase of inventory 200,000, cash paid 60,000, 140,000 needs to be payable. Okay, so that is transaction 8. Transaction number 9, minus 170 inventory, trade debtors plus, cash plus, and 20,000 plus in the equity. So which means if the inventory is minus, equity is plus, which means that is a sales. So what is the sales here? Likewise, you have to enter. Goods costing 170,000. Goods costing 170,000 sold for 200,000. 200,000. Goods costing 170,000 sold for not 200, sold for 190,000. Goods costing 170,000 sold for 190,000, which includes 30,000 cash and 160,000 as a credit. Okay, goods costing 170,000 sold for 190,000, which includes 30,000 cash and 160,000 credit. Transaction number 10, plus 200 in the office equipment, plus 200 in the equity, which means office equipment increasing, equity increasing, which means that is a additional capital. Additional capital. Owner introduced 200,000 worth of office equipment, 200,000 worth of office equipment. Owner introduced 200,000 worth of office equipment as a additional capital. Because in the equity, in the equity, in the equity, we use plus values for the additional capital and the revenues, minus values for the drawings and the expenses. Okay, profit and loss. This 200,000 is not a revenue, it's not a profit as well, and it will be a additional capital. Very simple. 11, inventory 60, equity 60. So there will be no donations here, first assumption. In the question they have mentioned, no donations, no inventory written off. So this will be the drawings. Goods drawings, 60,000. Because in the question they have mentioned there will be no donations or inventory written off. So goods drawings 60,000. Question number 12, 100,000 minus in the office equipment and 150 in the cash and 50 in the equity. Sorry, I missed that. 50 in the equity. So office equipment minus 150 plus equity 50, which means office equipment sold 150,000, which costing 100,000. Office equipment sold 150,000, which costing 100,000. Okay, so yes, that will be the transactions. After that, what we have to do, we have to calculate the net profit based on the net asset basis. So that will be the question number 1 and question number 2, net profit. Closing capital minus, so they are asking the net asset basis in the question, minus opening capital plus drawings minus additional capital. Closing capital is 1,800. Opening capital is 1,360. Okay. And additional capital This is the additional capital transaction number 10. Additional capital 200. Drawings is 60. After that, 300 will be the net profit. Question number 3. What is question number 3? Sales revenue and total income to be recognized for the month of March 2022. So, which is the sales? Which are the sales? Sales revenue. The sales. So, which values I have rounded? This 150, which means this. The transaction number 3. It's a sales revenue. 500. I'll write the transactions name. Transaction number 3, 500 is the sales revenue. This 500. This 400. Transaction number 4, 400 is the sales revenue. And after that, this 190. Transaction number 9, 190 in the sales revenue. And the sales of the asset, the sale of the office equipment, it won't be the sale of the office equipment. It won't be considered as a sales revenue because sales revenue, sales is what? The good sales. The inventory sales is only considered as the sales, not the property plant equipment sales. Okay. So these three, only these three which is included as a sales revenue. So how much? 1090. And how to calculate the total income? Total income is what? Sales plus other income, which is our total income. Sales income is 1090. What is our other income? The plus values other than the sales. 10 discounts received. Discounts received 10. And other plus values such as the 20, yes. This 50 PPE sales. PPE gain, this 50. $1,150. So please remember, the PPE sales, the property plant and equipment, the office equipment sale won't be considered as a sales income. Please note that. That is not the sale. Okay. So that is the source of the revenue. That is it. So in the transaction number 12, office equipment sale is not considered as a sales income. Please remember that, because when you're doing the company accounts and other sole proprietorship and partnership account, the examiner might ask the questions like that. Examiner might confuse you. Okay. So in order to prevent that, in order to avoid that, please put that thing in your mind today. The PPE sale, it's not a sale. Okay. Only the gain we got from the PPE sale, it's only considered as the other income, like here. Okay, very simple. The sales is what? The sales is what? Inventory sales. The inventory which we sold is only considered as a sale. The inventory which we sold is only considered as the sale. The inventory we sold it's only considered as a set. Okay, so very simple. So that will be the answers. So, and that will be the end of the session also. Okay, so yes, it's 9 o'clock now. So I will give you some 2 or 3 minutes. You can pause the video, right? So in the live class, you can pause it. So just pause the video and write the answers. Okay, so we'll see you in the next session next Monday. Okay, so bye.